everyone, and welcome to 1923 Main Street.
Home of the Daddy-Daughter Disney Travel Podcast. We're your hosts.
I am Mike Bello-Braddock.
And I'm Amelia Bello-Braddock. And today, we'll be discovering some of the secret and not-so-secret places to get away from it all at Walt Disney World.
To get away? Is it even possible to get away from it all? In fact...
Why, yes, Mike, it is.
In fact, doesn't that sound sort of like a oxymoron or whatever? To get away. I want to go to Disney World to get away from it all. The point of this is... You know what made me think of this topic?
What?
Guess. No. Some people used to, or I've seen commonly people say, oh, I need a vacation from my vacation, right? So if you go to Walt Disney World and you're so exhausted and in a bad way that you feel like you need a vacation from your vacation,
this is not good.
It's not good. And maybe, just maybe, this episode is for you because it is, in fact, possible to get away from it all in Disney terms.
And there are many different places that you can do this.
Now, I want to ask you one thing before we start. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever been like, oh, this is too exhausting?
Yes.
You have, on a Disney vacation.
Yes.
And we don't overload our vacations.
Yes, we do.
No, not compared to some other people.
We spend too much time at Epcot.
Amelia's...
We just sit and we look at the flowers when we could be riding Test Track.
Wait till Guardians Coaster opens. Then maybe you'll be loving it a little bit more. And Ratatouille, because I know you love that in Paris.
What exhausts me is walking around Epcot when it's the Flower and Garden Festival and walking all around World Showcase. It's just exhausting.
Well, we're going to get to that later, but let's start first with where to stay.
Okay.
Because it is possible to get away from it all in hotel terms to some degree, right? We're talking in Disney terms, of course. So, there are, I think we're going to highlight 4 places at Walt Disney World where you can stay that are a little less hectic and busy generally than most of the other resorts on site.
These are all luxury resorts, though.
Not all of them. One of them is not.
Oh.
Okay, so let's start with the first one. What is our first place where we suggest is we're staying to get away from it all?
Disney's Saratoga Springs.
Disney's Saratoga Springs Resort and Spa. Yes, it is a Disney Vacation Club resort, but of course, anyone can stay there. Anyone can book a room there. It shows up under villas on the My Disney Experience app when you're booking. So definitely check those. If you have never considered staying in a villa, you really should. And Disney Saratoga Springs Resort is a great one. It would be my first on the list of these 4, even though we're talking about it first. They're not really in order, as you usually say. But Saratoga Springs, where is it? Right across the water from...
Walking distance from Disney Springs.
Well, walking distance depending on where you stay. If you stay in College Park, because as we've said in the past, it is...
65 acres.
65 acres, so it's huge.
65 acres of pure joy.
And it's the reason I really like it is because it's so big, it's sort of spread out. You don't need a car there, but it's nice to have a car there. It's very spread out. And it even has the Treehouse Villas.
There's 5 pools.
The Treehouse Villas are located there. And, they're almost getting away from it all within getting away from it all because they are located in
really
Saratoga
anywhere
Springs.
Saratoga is to get away from it all, but the Treehouse Villas are sort of another section. And you're not living in a shed. You're not.
Yeah, they're quite nice. They're not bungalow nice, but they're pretty nice. And Saratoga Springs at 65 acres is just large, spread out. It's not a hectic hotel pace because it's spread out. It's more like living in a community, like a housing subdivision in a way.
It's like its own little community, and I guess they changed the name, but maybe it should be called Downtown Saratoga Springs.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's called Disney Springs.
Could be. And you can, of course, there are buses to get around the resort if you don't have a car. So you don't need a car there. But yeah, if you want to walk to Disney Springs, the closest part, because Saratoga Springs is broken up into little neighborhoods.
And that just really states how big it is. There's buses around a resort.
Yeah, as there are at almost all of these.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but almost all of them. So, if you want a place to stay to get away from it all, Disney Saratoga Springs Resort would be probably our first choice. Definitely one to consider. There's another place on the list that is not a deluxe resort.
Oh.
And let's talk about that one next.
This is not even a resort, I don't think.
Well, it is a resort. You'd call it.
You'd call it a resort.
Well, they call it what?
Fort Wilderness.
Fort Wilderness Campground. Now.
Campground.
But you don't have to camp there because they do have the cabins, which I believe are
Yes.
considered a moderate
Yes.
in
so not a
Disney
luxury
hotel
resort.
terms. But at least for the time being, Fort Wilderness is a great place to get away from it all. You're still within an easy boat ride to the Magic Kingdom, but still there's a trade-off if you want to just have a more relaxing environment. Same goes for Fort Wilderness. However, being on Bay Lake, you do get to take a boat to the Magic Kingdom. Plus, you're in good proximity to the other resort hotels in the area.
Yeah, and this I do want to point out, if you are staying here, you want to budget your time. Don't expect you're going to take a boat and you're going to get there within like 2 minutes, because boats, sometimes like buses, they're backed up. Like it took us an hour to get from, I think, the Grand or the Contemporary, one of those two, to Fort Wilderness. So
Yeah, it's we talked about that in our transportation episode last week.
Yeah,
Just
so it
remember
is.
to budget, to consider your
yes,
time, right?
consider your time.
Yeah, but still,
It's a resort, but it's not as close as the other ones are.
personally, I would rather be at Fort. Like I like Saratoga better, but I do like the boats better than the buses.
Yes.
So from a transportation perspective, I like having a boat at Fort Wilderness. There are also buses at Fort Wilderness, and like Saratoga, there's
Whereas
buses.
I like neither. So
There's buses that run around Fort Wilderness. And there
Yes.
used to be the train, which we also talked about in
Yeah.
last week's episode. So if you haven't listened,
seen that,
Listen
go
to that.
listen to that.
episode 24. All right. So we've got Saratoga Springs. We've got Fort Wilderness. What is the third? We're moving back to a villa resort.
This one is fairly similar to Saratoga Springs. This is Old Key West.
Yeah, Disney's Old Key West Resort, which was originally called Disney Vacation Club when they thought there were only going to be one.
If they could see it now.
It is another very relatively quiet. It's most of, or many at least, of the rooms are located on golf courses or waterways. So it's very picturesque. It's relatively quiet. You do get boat access to Disney Springs.
Yeah,
on the
there is a
Sassagoula
boat
boats.
theme.
Yes, there is it's an old Key West theme.
Yeah. I don't
Right,
know
that's-
what that is. So
You don't know Key West, Florida. Well, actually, you have not been to Key West, but it's
I didn't even know that Florida Keys existed until a few weeks ago. So
really? So you didn't realize the name Old Key West meant anything? I guess that's fair if you didn't know about the Florida Keys. Well, we'll have to get there one day.
I
with you.
didn't know.
Mommy will be a little scared on some of those long transitions between keys. She does not like bridges over water.
Not a fan.
But Old Key West Resort, it's different than Saratoga.
Yeah. It's similar in the sense that it is a large property and it doesn't really have that many elevators and you sort of climb up the stairs to get there, but it is different. It's not like the same thing.
It's quiet though. It is relatively same rules apply. You'll be on buses, except it does have the boat instead of being able to walk to Springs. However, the boats also go from Saratoga. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
You can take a boat from Saratoga to Disney
It's
Springs.
similar in the way that the Grand Floridian's similar to the Bay Lake. It's not the same thing, but it does have some similar qualities.
I don't even know what that means, but here's how I always look at them. Whereas Saratoga is sort of more wide open rolling spaces because it's themed after the Saratoga Saratoga, New York, and horse racing. It's got more pastures and big ponds with fountains. Whereas Old Key West to me feels more closed in, right? It feels smaller, even though it's quite large because it's more treed and that sort of. At least it feels that way to me.
Yeah, but I feel the general structure of the buildings and the amount of buildings is what makes it similar because there's some of the
the building structures. You're right.
There's some of the only resorts that are made that way.
And we should mention, if you really care about rooms, Old Key West has beautiful, until they update the Saratoga Springs rooms, they're nice. And you can get 1 and 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom at either one. But the Old Key West rooms have been updated, and they are probably the nicest and largest rooms on property.
They're huge.
For standard rooms.
Yeah.
So Old Key West Resort, another great spot.
I was actually shocked because it doesn't look that way from the outside, and then you walk in and it's like, whoa.
Whoa, yeah, it's quite nice.
Whoa, this is
I still
gorgeous.
prefer Saratoga Springs though, even with
I
the
do.
nicer rooms and larger rooms at Old Key West. But they're both great spots.
Yeah.
But if you asked me, I would go Saratoga Springs.
But if you're a lazy person who doesn't like walking, or not lazy, but like you just don't prefer walking, or you're tired at the parks,
Now,
which is what my excuse is all the time.
well, from both of those, you're a bit far from parks. That's the trade.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? If you can't have both. If you want to be close to the parks, Other than Fort Wilderness,
Yeah.
which is a bit of an anomaly, it is sort of close. Well, it's close to the Magic Kingdom and it's pretty quiet. But in every other case, any other deluxe resort close to the parks, they're busy. They're very busy.
Yeah.
They're, bustling and that sort of thing. So these two are less
You will
so.
be walking
Yes.
around Old Key West
Or biking.
or biking. Yeah.
Yeah, these two are great. Actually, all three that we've mentioned are great for riding bikes.
Yeah.
I think we talked about those in our other episode.
I think all of them. Oh, wait, no, maybe not. this
Okay, so
last
number 4, let's go. Because this one,
Yeah.
I rarely recommend this hotel. If you
Yeah.
listen to me, you know that.
I was thinking, why is this one on the list?
But because
Can
for
you
this
guess what
reason,
it is? Yes.
Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. Now,
I don't even know why this is on here.
yeah, it's sort of an iffy one on the list, but I'm throwing it on because it is technically away from it all. It's one of the things I don't like about it.
Away from it all because nobody wants to go there.
Yeah. So, however, it's on the bubble on this list. It is away from everything, so you're away generally as a resort from all the hustle and bustle next door. Like if you think of the Magic Kingdom Resort area, or if you think of, around Crescent Lake where you got the Boardwalk, Beach Club, Yacht Club, all in close proximity, and even the Swan and Dolphin. Those are busy areas. Animal Kingdom is all on its own. Now, having said that, it's pretty busy there. So it's on the bubble in that respect. The pools are often fairly crowded and the hotel's busy, but it's sort of spread out in some of the buildings, especially on the DVC side.
And I mean, the Savannah is very...
Yeah, I mean, it's sprawling.
It's calming.
Yeah, it's a little bit calming. So it's a little bit on the bubble.
Boringly calming.
And it is the only non-villa or sort of campground resort on what I would consider the places to stay to get away from it all. So if you want a traditional deluxe resort to get away from it all, it's got to be Animal Kingdom. Wilderness Lodge, I don't think would fit into that. I find it even busier and more overcrowded, especially at the pools. That's my beef against Wilderness Lodge. So where to stay to get away from it all? Disney Saratoga Springs Resort, Fort Wilderness Campground and Cabins, Old Key West Resort, and Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Well, I'm going to rank them because...
Okay, let's hear your ranking.
My favorite. So I'll go least favorite to most favorite, worst to best. So we have Animal Kingdom Lodge is the lowest because we've had some bad experience there, as you know. If you've listened,
and it's far away.
With what to do when things go wrong.
Even if we didn't have those,
and also it's far away. That you'd think the Savannah's nice, but it's very boring.
Some people like it,
or
but
calming.
Most of the time, we're looking at dead grass.
It's not busy. It's not a busy scene.
Exactly.
Then next, I'm tying Fort Wilderness and Old Key West.
Now, we should be fair and say you have not actually ever stayed at Fort Wilderness.
Yeah, but I'm thinking cabins.
We'd have to convince Mummy to stay in a cabin.
Person.
But
I
can't remember. I don't think we put the asterisk on this yet. Once Reflections opens, I think it's going to be interesting to see.
I think currently.
Yeah, and for the next couple of years at least.
Yeah.
It's a good spot. It's worth trying.
Currently, as of spring summer 2020, it is a place to get away from it all. So yeah, I'm eyeing those because they're both sort of equal in get away from it all. If you like more deluxe, Old Key West. If you like more campy, then Fort Wilderness. Yeah. And then the best. Come on,
that's true. The theming, the Fort Wilderness sort of Daniel Boone sort of pioneer theming. So pioneer theming, that's what it is. That's why Pioneer Hall is there. So,
and the best, in my opinion, these are just our opinions, is Saratoga Springs. So if you want...
I think my rankings are pretty much the same as those.
Yeah. What I'm doing is if you want a luxury resort, like a real resort, I'd say go Saratoga. If you want a camp, go Fort Wilderness, although Old Key West is nice too.
Yeah. I love Saratoga. I just think it's underrated. I think it's the most underrated resort at Walt Disney World, personally.
So is it just resorts that you go?
No, let's talk about... So there's a few ways I wanted to look at this. Let's now talk about the resorts not on this list. So within each resort, let's give a few of our sort of hidden gems or tips, because we stay at all primarily...
Not all places at all resorts are always busy.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
And there are little spots at some of the deluxe resorts in particular, which is what we know and where we stay, where you really can sort of find a little quiet moment most of the time. So why don't we start with Disney's Grand Floridian Resort.
Okay.
Now, I don't find it crazy. I mean, it's busier compared to those other two, but it's generally not too bad. But I do have a spot that I really like that is pretty quiet usually. That where you can just, there's people around, but it's just you can actually relax there.
I think
And
I
you
know
can
what
even
you're
have a
talking about.
snack or a drink. Where am I talking about?
Gasparilla Island Grill. Yeah.
Island Gill, yes.
Yeah. And the patio.
Yeah, out in front of Gasparilla Island Grill, which is the quick service
Yeah.
at the Grand Floridian. And just happens to, the reason we know this spot well is right above that is the Royal Palm Club theme park view rooms.
Yeah.
So they look out over this area. But outside of that area, there are sort of outdoor tables.
Although I do want to say there's an area around the plants where some kids, not naming any names, but some kids will do performances. So
That's when you were a
that's
little
kind
one.
of calming. So
But this little bistro area, it's on the harbor on one side, and you can see Cinderella Castle in the distance.
yeah.
It's great. You can get, even if you don't want to get a snack, but you can. You can get
I
a
mean-
snack or lunch or something from Gasparilla, or have a drink or beer out there, and it's really nice. Usually quite nice and quiet there,
And there
usually you
is
can find some
shade and
yeah,
sun.
exactly.
And I was just thinking, well, sometimes it gets really hot. But
Some
then
of the
there
tables
is-
have umbrellas too.
There
which
is shade,
helps.
yeah.
The top level closer to the building
There's
gets
a
more shade.
variety of different
Yeah,
table temperatures.
exactly. So that's a good spot within the Grand Floridian to get away from it all.
Yeah.
Now, right next to the Grand Floridian at the Polynesian Resort,
Uh,
there's a spot, and actually you like this spot, and I like you like me taking pictures there.
it's
Why?
a good
Because
picture
there's
spot.
usually nobody around.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
spot
that
to get
too.
away from it all, and there's even a place to sit. And what is that? Do you remember?
The swinging
Yeah,
chair.
the little swing chair. So, at the Polynesian Resort, just past Tuvalu and Fiji buildings, at the very beginning of the path that goes to the wedding pavilion in the Grand Floridian, there's a little beach area. It's right by the luau entrance. So if there's a luau on, it's going to be busier. But other than that, there's a a big beach area, white
a little
sand beach.
beach.
But there's a swing chair, and it's really quiet there. If you can sit on the sand or in
There's
the chair.
nice palm trees.
Yeah, it's palm. It's relaxing. It's a good spot. Just if you want to chill at the Polynesian, away from the pools and anything else. So I
Although
really
you might
like that
see a
spot.
brilliant dancer taking photos there in March or summer.
A brilliant dancer
Yeah.
named Amalia,
That would be me.
also known as Amelia. Yes, that would be you. We're often there taking photos. It's a great photo spot because you can get the Grand Floridian in the background, the wedding pavilion, or the Polynesian, or even the Magic Kingdom, depending on your angles.
You can get a bunch of different backgrounds, which I like. And the lighting's there is actually
early
really good.
morning and
Early
as we
morning.
talked about in the
That's like your favorite
photography
spot.
episode. Yeah, the magic hours. The photography magic
beach
hours.
magic
Yeah,
hours.
morning or late in the day, afternoon sun on that beach is great.
Yeah.
Speaking of beaches, let's hop over to Disney's Beach
Beach
Club
Club.
Resort. Do you know where my spot is at the Beach Club?
The DVC lounge area.
Yeah,
thing.
within the DVC area, the Disney Vacation Club part of the Beach Club, which is closest to the Epcot gate and the Skyliner entrance now, there is the Disney Vacation Club part of the resort. And if you can get in there, inside of it, there are some really good little spots where you can just chill, and it's rarely crowded. Like not right at the pools, but around and nearby the pools along the pass. There's a couple of pools in there. There's a quiet one that actually is fairly quiet. So if you really want to get away from it all in the Beach Club Resort, that is a good spot. There's also lawns at the Yacht Club out sort of out front, but I think this Disney Vacation Club area at the Beach Club is a
Yeah.
secret spot to get away. And my favorite one of all on this list. Do you even know where this is? She's looking at my notes right now.
I don't know if I've been there.
Because you're usually busy on the slides and the
I
other
don't
things.
know if I've been there, but I've seen like pictures. I think you
So
showed
this
me,
is
like,
tricky to
pictures.
get into. Let's talk about the resort first. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about,
Contemporary / Bay Lake.
and we say / Bay Lake because this is really at Bay Lake.
Yeah, but you can
So-
go there if you're at the Contemporary.
Yeah, if you can get in, you got to get through that pool gates area
Oh,
if you're
yeah.
not staying at Bay Lake. I'm going to talk about a contempt spot in a minute, but within the pool area at Bay Lake Tower, behind the water slide that a lot of people don't even know it's there, there's a little path. There's actually a really private beach right on Bay Lake. And it's like it's fairly long strip of beach sand with loungers, and I never see anyone there, or very rarely. So it's a really good spot on the water if you want to just sit down by yourself or with your family and get away from
Mhm.
it all. That's the spot you go if you can get in there. Now, at,
Yeah.
at the Contemporary, I just realized there is sort of another spot if you just want to chill away from everyone. And that is where the remaining outer buildings are, down towards at the far
Yeah.
end, right around past the pools,
Mhm.
right out onto Bay Lake where the boats go by and through the little canal area facing Shipwreck Island. I don't know if we've talked about Shipwreck Island, but that's the
Yep.
whole Walt Disney story. Facing that, there's just a lot of lawns, and there is rumors that they're going to build a second Bay Lake Tower there. But without that happening, that's another good spot where you can just sort of get away from it all, look at the boats go by and the water. It's a nice spot too, very grassy.
A nice spot for a picnic.
Yeah, it's a really good spot for a picnic.
See, I'm intelligent.
So there are some spots to get away from it all at those hotels.
What about the parks?
Parks are trickier, but I think
Yeah.
we can come up with a few.
Hey, this one is my idea.
Which one? What are you talking
We'll
about?
start at Epcot.
You want to start at Epcot? Okay, now.
Start at Epcot because I just said it. So.
Yeah, so we'll start at Epcot. Now, how do you get away from it all at Epcot?
Okay, so you had some other spots within the parks, and I suggested this.
It's not for everybody,
It
though.
is not for everybody, which is why it's quiet.
Right.
This is the DVC Lounge.
Yes, at Epcot.
In the building with Figment's Journey
into Imagination. As you exit Journey into
Yeah.
Imagination, you can go in without exiting. It's just in the little shop there.
Yeah.
But there is the Disney Vacation Club Members Lounge, so you do have to be a member.
Yeah.
Unless you know a
there's-
member who can bring you in.
There's free drinks, free snacks.
Yeah, they have free pop drinks, not drinks.
No.
Or it'd be a lot more crowded. But there's no washrooms in there. There's no restrooms. So
That's a
yeah.
problem.
Well, it's maybe keeps people moving.
Well, there's a soda fountain, so
Yeah, they give you lots of there's lots of drinks and they walk around with snacks. But it is it was a good one. Now here's my beef that just after you said that, because the next one we're going to talk about, this is even more elite, is Club 33. So yeah, you can get away from it all for a price. But here's
for
my
a
thing.
price.
So they've opened Club 33s or in all 4 parks, or the plan is to do so. Why is there only one DVC lounge? So Disney Vacation Club executives,
Yes,
if you're
Disney
listening,
Vacation Club's executives,
yes, us DVC members would like a DVC lounge.
or a free pass to Club 33.
I don't think we're going to get that. In each park. Wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
Because it really is a great spot. And that may...
Or like an annual pass holder lounge or something.
Well, there's too many... Well, there's a lot of DVC too. Yeah. That would be super busy. The DVC lounge is not bad right now. But it would be, it'd be another perk that may encourage more people to join. If you look at it that way,
Disney executives.
Because I
Or
quite
if
like the
people
Disney
have
Vacation
both
Club lounge.
DVC and annual pass, let them into Club 33.
Yeah, you're not getting into Club 33.
It was worth a try.
But the DVC lounge, it is a good one. I would definitely agree with you on that. And I really do think it would be good if we had DVC lounges in all 4 parks. And beyond that, we racked our brains. Animal Kingdom. There's really no spot to get away from it all. I mean, you could say, on the Maharaja
Yes, we racked our
trail.
brains.
Well, can you think of spots to get away from it all?
And by we, he means me. And no, I cannot.
I mean, Rafiki's Planet Watch, but there's really no. And then Mommy said, "Oh, well, what about the Boneyard?" And those are not places to get away from it all. So
Yes, if you
the
think
children's play
if you
areas.
think screaming kids in the blazing hot sun is getting away from it all,
Yeah.
then
by
by
all means, that's
go enjoy your boneyard.
Now there are other things. Like for example, you can go one level further, and this is maybe another area, and maybe we can think for each park. But in the Magic Kingdom, for example, another spot to get away from it all momentarily is Carousel of Progress.
Oh yeah.
You know what? It's rarely crowded, like full.
Yeah.
It's rarely full. And it's classic Disney. It's great,
Yeah.
great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
And the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah.
True.
Those places where you can get into air conditioning and chill and relax.
If you're getting suffocated by the crowds.
Yeah. And I used to put Pirates of the Caribbean into that category. No, not anymore. This was pre-Fast Pass.
Oh yeah.
Before there were Fast Passes, it was rarely busy, and
Before there were fast passes?
but which is before you were born.
I was gonna say before the time of me, so
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean was a great spot to go and just get air conditioning, enjoy the ride. But right now, I'd say Carousel of Progress has taken over that. And it's quicker moving than Hall of Presidents is. So, and now in other parks, still trying to think of the, Epcot version of Carousel of Progress or the Animal Kingdom version or any of those. Can you? I mean, there's a lot of shows at Animal Kingdom, but you still got to wait in big lines. So they're not just easy on the spur of a moment. I want to get away from it all. Boom, you can get into Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, there's rarely a line, or if it is, it's like short.
Or Hollywood. I don't know if there's anywhere. In fact, it's going the other way because it's getting quite busy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, any spots that were there
are no longer there.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a whirlwind tour. And listen, let us know where your favorite spots to get away from it all are.
Yeah, but hey, Daddy.
What?
They're not only rides.
What?
Tom Sawyer Island.
Oh, that's a great one. How did I miss that? My favorite one of all.
How did you miss that?
Oh, yeah. So
that's my question.
You're right. Let's close on this one. So
it's probably the best one.
Okay, so Magic Kingdom Park, Tom Sawyer Island in Frontierland is a great place to get away from it all. It's even when it's busy, you take the Tom Sawyer raft over, and even when it's crowded, when you get off the raft, the island
the rafts are kind of cool too.
Yeah,
you feel the breeze.
You feel the breeze, but the island is large enough that you really can find a quiet place in there. You let the kids, if you have kids, they can run free.
And there's like little mazes in the caves.
The fort, but it's shaded.
And there's little parks too that are shaded.
It is a great spot. And also at Disneyland, and it was the only attraction, I think we said in one other episode, actually designed by Walt Disney himself.
Yes.
At Disneyland. So
Disneyland?
Yeah, the Disneyland Tom Sawyer Island.
Oh.
Was his idea and design. So it's a great, by de facto, the
and also,
Disney
as
World
we've
version.
mentioned, if you have some anger management issues, go up to the fort and shoot at the people on Big Thunder.
Yes, the guns are still there.
Guns a-blazing.
So Tom Sawyer Island, thanks for bringing that.
Gun.
I forgot about that. It is. And there are no things like Tom Sawyer Island in the other parks, really.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, but I can't think of one.
Yeah,
if you can, let us know.
Yeah, so let's roll back to that. So thank you for bringing that up, Amelia. Tom Sawyer Island, and give us your tips of where you go to get away from it all in each park, and we'll throw that in our show notes and on the blog and share them on social media. So I'd love to hear your ideas of places to get away from it all at Walt Disney World, because really, it makes the vacation so much nicer when you just have that breathing room away from just almost everything. As much as can be done.
Recharge your energy.
Recharge your energy, yes. Definitely do that. So, we're glad you joined us today. We don't want anyone to feel like you need a vacation from your Walt Disney World vacation. You shouldn't feel that way. So be sure, if you are tendencies in that direction, maybe choose one of these resorts or remember these places where you can get away from it all.
I'd say Tom Sawyer Island is good because your kids will like it. Like if they're like, I don't want to break. Like, don't make me wait. I want to do something.
Yeah, it's a good spot where they can still do stuff.
They can get the park and you can relax.
You're not waiting in line on the island. Once you get there, you may have to wait in line for a boat, but it's usually not that busy. Usually not that busy. Yeah, it does close at dusk, so get there. Remember that. And as always, find us on social media at 1923 Main Street and 1923mainstreet.com. And if you have some ideas about where to get away from it all that we have not mentioned, shoot us an email at contact@1923mainstreet.com. We'd love to hear your ideas and share them with everybody. Or maybe you don't want to share them with everybody. Maybe they're secret places to get away from it. Anyway, listen, everyone, thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the show. And we wish you a very magical day.
Bye-bye.